Good evening, everyone. My name is Liz Seaton, and I am a curator here at the Mariana Kistler Beach Museum of Art at Kansas State University. Welcome to this screening of the documentary film Woody Crumbo Spirit Talk, an exploration of the life and work of artist Woodrow Woody Crumbo, who was a member of the citizen Pottawatomie Nation. Crumbo's contributions as a figure in the arts included roles as concert musician, native ceremonial dancer, arts educator, and museum administrator. I'll let the film and the film's director, Minisa Halsey, who is Crumbo's daughter, fill in this picture. We're fortunate to have Minisa here with us today, live streaming from Mounds, Oklahoma, to provide insights into her father and the making of her film. And I'll introduce her more formally in a minute. Let's begin with an acknowledgement that the museum and university stand on the homeland of Native peoples, and that this land was taken from them by violence and broken promises. This program has been organized in conjunction with the museum's exhibition, Voices of the West, which opened last February and continues as a virtual exhibition that can be found in the exhibition area of the museum's website. It's a downloadable PDF. So the order of things this evening, after my introduction, Minisa will make a few comments before we watch the film together, and the film will last about 45 minutes. After that, we'll open up the floor for questions. Minisa is describing this part of the program as a kind of gathering or council, and I think she's going to grace us with some drum playing and singing at the beginning of that. So at any time during this event, if you'd like to pose a question or comment, please do so using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. A box opens up and you can type in your question, and I or Jen Harlan of the museum will convey these questions or comments to Minisa. Closed captioning is available for those who would like it. Click on CC at the bottom of your screen. And this program is being recorded and will be available for viewing on the museum's YouTube channel. Let me introduce the film's director, Woody Crumbo Spirit Talk. Minisa Halsey is an artist who works in painting, jewelry making, and photography, among other media. She's also a poet. Halsey has exhibited her work in the United States, Europe, and Russia. Halsey is a member of the citizen Pottawatomie Nation and the Muskogee Creek Nation. She founded the Moon Circle Teachings Group in Oklahoma and is the author and illustrator of 2 books, Beloved Woman and The Lost Female Fire. Thank you for being here, Minisa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's an honor. I'm very happy to visit with you this evening and present the film of the life and works of the artist Woody Crumbo, who was my father. I'd like to start by saying, Bonjour, Nikan. Indeshnikaz Minisa Crumbo, Bodhi Wadmin Ndao, Showin Dogzawin, Odopi, Indabin Dogzawin, Shawnee. Bonjour, Nikan is Pottawatomie that translates quite literally into hello, my bone, recognizing the relationship of all people through not only our bone, our body, but our mind, heart, body, spirit. And Deshnikas is my name is Minisa Crumbo. Bodhi Wadmin and Dao means I'm a Pottawatomie woman. And the been dogs and Shawnee. That means that's my agency is Shawnee. I'm citizen Pottawatomie here in Oklahoma. Most recently in Mayetta, Kansas, very near you. Showman Dogzawin Odopi, a blessing has been visited upon us this day. Aho, Bamamina. Tonight, I will introduce and talk a bit about the making of the film Woody Crumbo. We'll cover much more of it later in conversation. and then we'll screen it, which is 44 minutes long. Following that, I will sing a blessing song, the traveling song. And I will give a little heads up about the song. The traveling song is one that I'm really honored to present at this time. Because Indian way, whenever we begin something, we begin it with a prayer or end it with a prayer, recognizing that everything that we do is ceremony. But with a lot of concerns that always go forward with this in life and are especially present now. The song that I'm going to sing is at the end of the screening is called the Traveling Song. This is a song that anyone may participate in thought, word, or deed. For instance, say with a wedding, a graduation, embarking on a new venture, a move, something where there's a great deal of change and travel, and the accompanying chaos that goes with that kind of change can be salved by the song of the traveling song, meaning that we are moving along. These are the words, and I'll say them now, and then I'll say them a little bit later when I move into the song to set it up a little bit more with the drum, which represents the heartbeat of the Mother Earth. The traveling song, the words of it are, can you help us, Great Spirit? Can you help us to walk straight so that we might see one another again in a good way? This to me sums up a lot of the work of Woody Crumbo. Woody Crumbo was, and his work was only about one thing, and it was about connecting with spirit and then connecting the viewer visually through with spirit through the artwork. There were no words, there was no song, and a lot of times people would come away from looking at the work in a very nonverbal state, but shifted whereby they had been offered an opportunity in their own way, in a non-denominational way, not non-denominational way, and non-secular, to connect with the Creator, Great Spirit, which gave us our first most beautiful and enduring gifts, the Mother Earth, the Father, Sky, Sun, and our own lives. So in looking at the works in the paint in the video, and also listening to Woody Crumbo's words, you will hear this resonating all the way through. I was very happy to find all kinds of archival audio recordings of my father's work and talks, and interviews. There wasn't as much video done at that time, although I have a little. So I would like to invite everyone to join us at this time in watching Spirit Talk, the life and times and works of Pottawatomie Indian artist Woody Crumbo. Bamamina.
Thank you, Minisa. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that. I did. And we'll just wait for a second for you to add any questions or comments in the Q&A box. And Minisa should be coming along.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Here I am. Hi.
Can you turn on your video?
Have you got me up?
We're waiting for you to turn on your video, I think. There we go. So this is the time that we've designated as our time for conversation or a council, a meeting. And Minisa, why don't you get started? You wanted to, I think, sing a song for us?
Bonjour. Yes, I do have a song, the traveling song, for each one of us, as we remember that each one of us are always becoming. So as we travel, this song is a Pottawatomie song, and it says, can you help us, Great Spirit? Can you help us, Great Spirit, to walk straight? So long, and we will see you again. It goes like this. Thank you for being here with us today. That was the traveling song. There's been so much music that was included in the film, the video. I just enjoyed so listening to it and watching the beautiful graphics again. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life to be able to put that together. The Gilcrease Museum, the History Center in Oklahoma City under the aegis of Dr. Bob Blackburn were primary contributors of artwork and archival photographs from early Oklahoma. A variety of people contributed music, but one of the principal contributors was my son, Woody Carter, who was playing his grandfather's flute that you saw in some of the photographs, and most of that was his original music.
That was really nice to see. Continuing the tradition of the flute playing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to take some questions and we can continue to learn about
I will.
Okay.
I would.
Here's a comment from Paige Schmidt. She says, he is one of my favorite artists, but I had no idea how influential he was in some of the great collections. I really enjoyed learning about Woody. He's a great source of pride for me as a fellow Pottawatomie.
Oh, nice. Thank you for your kind words. Where do you live?
Well, I'll see if she tells us, and I will tell you, but let me ask another question from an attendee. I'm curious if depicting ceremonies, I'm curious about the images that depict ceremonies. Are these ceremonies normally shared with non-practitioners? Are there some ceremonies that are more open to sharing with European white cultures and others that are not?
Some are and some aren't. It just depends on the individuals involved. One of the important things to remember, I think, in looking at paintings like this or reading of other ways of life is to draw inspiration from it and have our own experience and relationship with the paintings or the music. Because whatever we're seeing is already in the past and gone. And it won't really be possible to revisit that except in the way that we do when we bring ourselves forward to in prayer or meditation or putting down some tobacco, making an offering, taking out an offering plate, saying grace before the meal. Essentially, remembering that being is a doing and that all life is ceremony. So I don't know if that answered your question. You may be asking about current ceremonies. Current ceremonies would just depend on who was there and what was going on. Basically, if you're there, it's probably okay if you're there already. And if you haven't heard about it, you're not there. So it's more private.
So this is related. It's a question I'd like to ask. Could you tell us more about your father's relationship with the federal government during the New Deal? So we know he produced murals for the Interior Department building in DC. What was the connection between the government and his documentation of ceremony and dance? You said he went around dancing with his Kiowa friends. Is that correct?
And in a larger dance group. They danced, but he painted. He executed murals at the new Department of Interior building in DC, which was a very interesting experience. They vetted several Indian artists who had to submit detailed drawings, not cartoons yet, but detailed drawings about what they were going to put up. And then they were juried and selected to come and work on the walls, fresh laid plaster, in the best tradition of the tempera on plaster. And while they were in Washington, they were not allowed to leave until the project was over. They moved them there and stayed. There are a lot more paintings and things that he's done in DC than are on view now at the new Department of Interior building. It's very much worth a visit if you're ever in Washington. Seek them out.
And while
it's also
going out to participate in study ceremonies, that was also a government project, right? Or he was
yes
working.
Yes.
So
yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on that?
Mostly no.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I've understood.
Most of the ceremonies,
reading.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Most of the ceremonies he attended were personal choice and his private travels.
Okay. I have another question a comment from Marcy Hemphill. She says, I grew up in Kansas, and I thank you so much for sharing this journey. Your song and drumming moved me to tears.
Oh, thank you so much for your kind words. I will confess that I never watch this film. That when it's over, I don't just feel like falling to the ground and crying. Yeah, it moves me so deeply every time that I watch it. I forget. And that's exactly what the artwork is supposed to do. Thank you.
Here's a question. Oh, by the way, Paige is from Tulsa. She wrote that. And here's a question about your father's relationship with Oscar Jacobson. What was that like?
It was a very formative time in his life. OU, of course, gave him his degree and gave him time and a place, along with a lot of other artists, specifically the Kiowa Five, who worked with the Jacobson House and Oscar Jacobson at that time. He was a very great supporter of Indian art, and probably single-handed the most important person to really bring notice of Indian art and the importance that it brought to its place in history, brought to Oklahoma and OU and America.
And here's another comment from Susie Sharp. As a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation who was not raised within tribal traditions and who has no family members to ask, how would you suggest I begin to learn more, to create more connection with my heritage and the people? I would love to find a mentor, but have no idea how or where to begin.
Excellent question. Excellent. And isn't that where most of us are at some point in our life? The traveling song speaks to the fact that we are always in transition. No matter what our background is, we are all always in transition and becoming. Linda, was that her name? Linda. I would suggest that you consider buying or making a drum if you can, because the heartbeat represents the Mother Earth, and Mother Earth and the Father Sky Sun were the first gifts that the Creator gave us, and they are universal. All wisdom and knowledge is encoded in the natural world, and the Skebyak, the green beings, and the heartbeat allows us to connect with the heartbeat of the Mother Earth. And there's great wisdom and teaching that comes from that, which is entirely personal, because medicine is a personal value and a personal relationship with ourselves and the Creator. Secondly, if you're Muskogee Creek, almost all of the tribes now, and I believe the Creeks do too, have language lessons online. If you can just learn a few words, go online. I'm a late student of Pottawatomie myself, and will never become fluent. It takes 5 or 6 years probably of immersion to become fluent in a language, and that's usually not available to very many people. But just learning a few words will shift your vibration. Any language that we learn that's outside of including our first language, shifts our vibration when we hear it and we speak it. If you can just pick up a few words. The drum, I have a book called Spirit Talk, which is designed to offer ways to lead people through our life in the natural world. through the seasons, the elements. It's available on my website, minisacrumbo.com. You can drop me a line.
Can I
Go
ask?
stand around at the Con Festival and different things down in Mulgi that are happening when things open up. See if there's some lessons and some crafts, some workshops. A lot of times there's workshops involved. Just go stand around and get to know people and see what's going on. Just walk in.
Minisa, I have that was Susie Sharp. I should have said when you asked her name.
Oh, okay.
This is from Bradley Fritsch. He says, I am a researcher at the Fred Jones Jr. Museum of Art in Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been incredibly insightful, and it definitely reassures me that your father was a key figure in Oklahoma's art museums. Or reassures the thought, is what he says. So yes, I think
After a certain,
your film does a
Go
wonderful job of providing a nice overview of his life and all of his contributions, so varied.
Thank you. It wasn't easy to put it all together. The Gilcrease provided me with so many images. And video just eats it up. There are so many images in there. And then they to get some of the work from his own words, his archival footage was very important. And Susie, and talking about finding your way back to some cultural resonance. Will you remember that at the beginning of the film that our father said that he had lost his parents and that he just went off and got lost? And he made his way back, didn't he? So it's something like that happens to almost all of us at one time or another, multiple times maybe, getting lost.
Minisa, so he spent time at a federal Indian school at that time. Can you talk to us about that experience from how he described it to you?
Well, it was very mixed, of course. We would drive through Shalaco grounds. The gate was still open at that time, but it was abandoned. And we would drive through by all kinds of buildings, and he'd point from one to the other and say, I broke rock for that building, and I broke rock for that building. That whatever infractions it incurred, they would send him to the rock pile. Oh my goodness. Looks like
we can hear you.
They would send him to the rock pile. So it was rough. It was rough. They cut everyone's hair and they couldn't speak language. And the food was rationed out food from out of date stuff that came. He used to say that they would sit down for breakfast and with hot or cold cereal. And he said first they'd have to skim off the skeletons of the weevils before they could get down to the cereal. But he made a lot of good friends while he was there. A lot of those people have come forward. And I think he's essentially has a glad heart and a grateful heart, and was not, he didn't have hard feelings toward anyone for anything, really. It's just very important to keep gratitude in your heart and move forward in a good way.
I guess I was thinking, you were talking about your father's ability to sort of weather things and remain happy. And I'm just wondering, I think you've mentioned that this is connected to his spirituality and his connection to Native traditions. And so my colleague Eileen Wong has asked about the significance of some of the spiritual symbols in his work, including the spirit horse and the deer.
Well, the deer brings love to the people. And the spirit horse carries, can probably be likened to the peyote bird, in that the peyote bird carries our prayers to the Creator, and the horse carries us in life as we pursue our traveling song.
So I have another comment and question from Susan Benson. She is the daughter of Maribel McNeil, niece of Vernon. So you may know those folks. And she asks, well, she says she's been very moved by your father's art since she was little, and she'd like to communicate with you. She's just thrilled to hear more about your father and mother. Her question was, could you speak a little bit more about Woody's time in Wichita?
He worked closely with a composer by the name of Thurlow Lawrence. And they produced the music. He was a composer by the Waters of Minnetonka, and our father played with him and accompanied him with some performances with the flute. And of course he went to school there. And now the Wichita Arts Center has a very wonderful collection of Woody Crumbos in their permanent collection.
Let's see.
Video
Is
just
the
went.
peyote ceremony still done? From Lisa Kuish. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, Lisa. And could you maybe talk more about that ceremony and its significance for your father? You said you have described him as a peyote man.
Hello, Lisa. That's a good question. Yes, the peyote ceremony is still done. It is a night ceremony, and you sit up all night, and there's drumming, singing, and it's a service. There's a fire in the center, and it's a worship service to Creator and all of beingness. It's a very serious ceremony. One that you don't hear very much about. It's usually done very quietly and out in the country by people who are ones that just go that way. I'm not sure what else I can tell you about it. Basically, it's a worship service, an all-night worship service, and it is still done. Yes. If you want to talk further about it, Lisa, well, we can talk about it at another time. If you have some more questions that you'd like to bring forward, or if you have another question now you'd like to bring forward.
I'll look for that. This is related to the subject of spirituality and ceremony. This person, Bradley Fritch, asks, how important was Bello Cozad to your father's spirituality?
Oh, very. He's the one that brought the peyote up from the south to the Kiowa. And it was through him, Bello Cozad, that Woodlands, that our father was invited into peyote ceremonies and participated that way. And it was became a principal worship service for him, and one which he ultimately brought me into and introduced me to. And I hold it in very high regard myself.
Minisa, of course, I think we all love to hear what it was like to be the child of Woody Crumbo. And Laura Hughes, sorry, Laura, if I've mispronounced that, she would like to ask what your favorite picture or work by him was. Maybe that might be connected to an experience with him.
I don't know that I would be able to pick one out because they all have special special energies and messages. I love all of them. I love the colors, the compositions, subjects, the spirit opportunity that emanates from them, that allows me to connect with my inner creative self and the creator. When they're transformative. The artwork is transformative and stays with you.
I think that's a hard question. What's your favorite work? When people ask that of me about the museum's collection, I always have a hard time with it. This is a question from Diane Barker, and you know what? I should give Diane some credit for introducing us, Minisa.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Diane.
Mm-hmm. She says, what do you see as the future of Native art in light of the influence of people like America Meredith and First America Art Magazine?
Well, America Meredith is doing an incredible job with her magazine and her relationship with IA and Indian artists. Indian art is proliferating across the Americas, north to south. Crafts, art, painting, performance, clothing design. There's a exhibition up at the Philbrook Museum in Tulsa that I'm going to view tomorrow of American Indian women artists, and there's been an important clothing design exhibition that they put up. It's very active. The scene is very, very active.
Here's a comment from Pat Embers and a question.
Hi, Pat.
I felt such compassion throughout Spirit Talk for your father and truly felt uplifted by his paintings. Your presence and narration made it alive to watch. How much was Bearheart with him on his journey?
Well, they knew one another from the old days, a long, long time ago. And he was related to, in my line, through my mother. But they had sat in meetings together and knew one another, and almost their whole life, in and out for a long time. The peyote connection was an important connection between the two of them, and the Sweat Lodge experience.
I think I'll just, I don't see any other questions, that I think I might just ask one last question before we come to about 7 o'clock. And that is, could you tell us a little bit more about your father's role as an administrator of the Texas Museum in Texas, the El Paso Art Museum?
That was very interesting. Yeah, there's a very interesting experience. The previous director was Frederick Dockstader, who had gone on to the High Foundation, and they brought our father in, and of course he had a strong museum background through the Gilcrease and his relationship with Thomas Gilcrease and putting some of those collections together. So I was there for I attended Texas Western UTEP while I was there, formerly Texas School of Mines. And I heard a lot of stories and saw a lot of things. It was that the museum was in one of those fine old homes that had been converted into a museum in El Paso. And El Paso had not been too many years removed from being a headquarter of the Mexican Revolution and being located on the Camino Real, which was the Spanish ingress into New Mexico. So those elements, a lot of those elements were still there. A lot of the early Jewish traders were still there and had their trades had blossomed into the major department stores and manufacturing and construction in El Paso. So all of these elements came together, and Father was very well received by all of them. He had a way of being able to communicate with everyone and receive their stories. He used to get people that would come up out of Mexico bringing stacks of retablos. Retablos were devotional paintings on tin, probably about 10 by 12, 15, sometimes larger, sometimes smaller. And they would be painted, commissioned in order to commemorate either a petition for healing or a healing. So they would be brought up out of Mexico and brought to the museum, and they would ask him to either restore them or evaluate them or help them sell them. So all those people were coming through. There were the museum collections of clothing, paintings, all of these things from early El Paso history. There was the revolutionary quality that was still very much in El Paso.
Yeah, so your father did such an incredible job sort of building on collections and documenting traditions. I mean, I think as the curator who wrote, he just contributed such a tremendous amount to American art and Native culture. I really thank you for bringing us this film. You did a wonderful job with it. And I want to just thank you, Minisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's been a pleasure.
So we'll conclude the
Thank you,
program.
Jennifer.
Sorry, what did you say?
Thank you, Jennifer and John and all of the others behind the scenes for your hard work in putting this together. It's been very enjoyable, and I'm honored to be able to present. Thank you so much, Mama P.
Beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to thank John and Jen. We've enjoyed, I think, all four of us working together in advance of this program. It's been great. And we'll just stick around for a minute or two if you'd like to provide any feedback or make a comment. But thank you for attending tonight's program. Good night.